Time now for the press review with Deeptika Laurent. Deepti, good to see you.
Hi, Delano.
You're starting out with French politics today, and Emmanuel Macron's post-election nightmare continues.
That's right. The big question on the minds of many French people, no doubt, and on the front pages of the French press is how will he govern and what's he going to do now? La Croix, the French paper, has two crucial lessons for MPs heading into this French parliament now. Compromise. They say it's necessary to compromise, and it doesn't mean that you're going to betray your voters. And the second lesson is in politics, MPs need each other, even if they come from different parties. Indeed, Emmanuel Macron is now desperately seeking support to get some kind of, if he can get that absolute majority or any support really to help pass the laws that he wants to pass in the French parliament. To that end, Les Echos reports that he's meeting with leaders of political parties, but the most likely looking situation is that he'll have to negotiate on an individual bill per bill case, which is why Les Echos, the French business paper, calls it la casse-tête Emmanuel Macron's headache in Parliament. Le Parisien's cartoonist sees it as the results of these elections as his sort of reality shock. Jupiter has come down from his cloud. Jupiter, of course, being that rather sarcastic moniker given to the French president.
He's come back down to earth, a lot of people have been saying. What about European papers? How have they been covering these parliamentary polls?
Well, they see it very much in the same way. Political crisis. That's what the Times of London says on its front page today, that Emmanuel Macron has been left beleaguered after these parliamentary elections. The Belgian paper Le Soir evokes a Kafkaesque situation and draws comparisons to the, somewhat chaotic political situation of Belgium in the past and that of France now, concluding that there is the same cruel observation to be made for both countries, and that is that democracy is, quote, at the end of its tether. Finally, the Swiss paper Le Temps offers a few lessons from the Swiss style of federal governance, warning that compromise will become a, quote, daily discipline going forward.
Now, Deepti, there's a column written here in France by 188 women calling on the Minister of Solidarity, who's been accused of rape more than once, to go.
Exactly. This is a really, heavy-worded column today in Le Monde. 188 French female personalities are calling for Damien Abad, the Solidarity Minister, to be sacked. It comes after several accusations, as you mentioned, of rape and attempted rape. That have been leveled against him, most recently, the last one coming just last week.
Exactly.
Coupled with several people, including elected officials who have witnessed what they say was inappropriate behavior from the minister. The big question for many is, why is he still in his position? His staying power, the columnists write, is a symbol that impacts all societies. I quote, remember that a rape is committed every 6 minutes in France, and a woman is killed by her partner or ex-partner every 2.5 days in France.
We'll see if the government, if Emmanuel Macron does anything now that the pressure is on him. Let's talk about transgender athletes and the world of swimming, because they've decided to ban transgender athletes after the rugby league.
Well, actually, the rugby league is now...
Sorry.
Yeah, it's the other way around. They're following suit. So FINA, which is the World Swimming Governing Body, they made that sort of bombshell decision on Sunday to ban particularly transgender women from elite female competitions if they have experienced any form of male puberty. Fox Sports News now reports that international rugby league authorities are also following suit and banning transgender women until further notice, which effectively excludes them from the World Cup that's due to be staged later this year. Fox Sports also reporting that World Athletics has hinted that track and field events could also bring in tougher policies against transgender women. At the crux of the issue is, questions about whether they have a physical advantage that could favor them in elite sports.
And you found an article in The Guardian which talks about this issue that's really dominated sports for years.
Well, it's interesting because The Guardian has this good analysis piece where they say that, that sporting bodies have for many years played, quote, pass the parcel with a live grenade regarding this issue of transgender athletes as too dangerous to broach. So they've just sort of avoided it. But now they can't avoid it any longer because you've had this emergence of elite transgender female athletes like weightlifter Laurel Hubbard, the swimmer Leah Thomas, and cyclist Emily Bridges, who have forced sporting bodies now to confront this issue and, as The Guardian says, make these hard choices. According to the Swimming Board FINA's scientific report that's quoted by The Guardian, even with medication to reduce testosterone, those famous T blockers, transgender women could preserve the strength that could give them an unfair advantage in their respective sports.
And finally, from you now, there's one Spanish city who has introduced a very unusual fine, which is difficult to apply.
That's right. The local council of this Spanish city has imposed a hefty fine to all swimmers who urinate in the sea.
Know that?
So, if you have a tinkle in the coastal waters of Vigo, Delano, and somehow you are caught by authorities, you'll have to pay an eye-watering 750 euros. They're not the first one to do this, by the way. The local council of Vigo has also introduced a ban on soap and shampoo use in the sea, as well as...
That's disgusting.
Yes, that is. Let's be honest. And forbidding people from washing their cooking utensils in the sea. Who does that? But, short of having agents who are testing the pH levels in the water...
diving underwater.
How would you know if anyone is, peeing, like taking a tinkle? Anyway, the no-pee policy of the Spanish city of Vigo.
Be careful if you're ever in Spain next. Thank you very much for that, Deepika Laurent there.